Thank you everyone for being here today. Paul Howard commented on my green jacket earlier. I said I'd wear it in honour of Paddy Hannon in an Irish town presenting a silver stock, but it's great to be here. You can read this at your leisure. So for those of you who don't know, Sun Silver listed 11 weeks ago. And why does Sun Silver present a compelling investment proposition? Well, there's a number of reasons I'd like to talk you through today. We have the largest primary silver asset on the ASX with 292 million ounces of silver equivalent at 72.4 grams per tonne. And I'll talk about that grade a little more in a number of slides. But it doesn't stop there. We've got massive resource growth potential, which we're currently working on. We sit in a silver market, which Tim talked about, which has been in a deficit for the last 3 years, 184 million ounces in 2023. And apologies for my pretty corny gag earlier on, but we present a unique value opportunity compared to our peers on the ASX. There's not a lot of silver exposure. You can see two of the best here today, but we feel we present one of the best value opportunities. So if you look at us from a pure silver resource perspective, we are the largest early stage silver project in development on the ASX with 176 million ounces of pure silver in the ground. And as I said, we're growing that. We listed 11 weeks ago. We IPO'd at 20 cent. Bit like Tim said, bit of a blip in the market yesterday. I'll refer back to last Friday where we were 51 cent a share. That capped us at $64 million. We've 125 million shares on issue, extremely tight and well supported. And our cash at the end of the quarter was 6.5 million bucks. So we're well cashed up to continue drilling, which we're doing right now. Our shareholder distribution, it's well held. 53% is in the top 20, and that's escrowed for about is escrowed for approximately 24 months. Our team, we're development focused. Myself, I was previously MD and CEO of an Ontario-based exploration company for lithium battery age minerals. I learnt my craft from one of the best. He's sitting down the back there at Pilbara Minerals, where I was project manager for the Pilgangoora lithium tantalum project, stage 1 concentrator development, a fantastic growth story. I went back when they acquired Altura, and I was responsible for the integration of the Altura asset into the broader Pilbara Minerals business. I spent time at Winu on their copper gold project, Rio, where they were trying to establish the Patterson province and are still trying. And I'm extremely well supported on the board with development focused team. Dean Ercegovic was a founding director, chief operating officer of Primero Group. Primero built an extremely good reputation for the engineering, procurement and construction of mineral processing plants worldwide prior to their acquisition by NRW. And Dean was responsible for the development of multiple projects around the world and a number in North America. Our board is rounded out with Nathan Marr. Nath is a metallurgist, which we place a huge emphasis on. He has project managed multiple projects around the world, but specifically 2 silver projects, which he led through development, commissioning, and ramp up, so a key insight into silver processing. And boots on ground is of huge importance to me. I have a very trusted lieutenant in Nevada, Robert Mitchell. He is our exploration manager. He's currently in the field leading the drilling program as we speak. He has 17 years experience in Nevada. All his experience is in and around the Carlin Trend, which we are located in. His most recent role was with Coeur on their Rochester deposit. They're expanding that at the moment, where they operate at a head grade of 12 grams per tonne. I'm going to talk about grade quite a bit. And he spent 5 years at Newmont as well, so he's heavily experienced in the region. We're in Nevada. You may not be familiar with it, but it is one of the best jurisdictions in the world. It's been constantly ranked by the Fraser Institute in the top 3. In 2022, it was the #1 mining jurisdiction. And from a geological perspective, we're in the Carlin Trend, so it's soft carbonate host rocks. And I say that slowly because soft carbonate host rocks are amenable to low-cost mining and production. And I'll give you 2 examples of that in a second. Location-wise, we're 85 kilometers from Elko. Someone described it to me a few days ago as a supercharged Kalgoorlie. It's a huge town, 12 drilling contractors, everything we need to operate efficiently, you know, a 2-hour drive away. But I want to talk about two of the operators in the region here. Coeur was mentioned quite a bit earlier in Tim's presentation. Coeur's flagship asset, the Rochester deposit, is in Nevada. They operate at a head grade of 12 grams per ton with no gold credit. We have a gold credit, we're a silver gold project. Their all-in sustaining cost at the moment is $24 an ounce. They're expanding that project currently, and they're going to bring that, their forecast to bring that that all-in sustaining cost down to $14 an ounce. Their mining cost is $1.50. Their processing cost is around $4 an ounce. So extremely cheap to operate in this region. And 25 kilometers as the crow flies from us is Kinross. That's Kinross's Bald Mountain mine. Their reported head grade is 0.5 gram a ton. Oh, sorry, Nick. I'll cover the cost of that, man. Over the last few years, they've actually been operating at 0.4 grams a ton. So, and their all-in sustaining cost is around $900 an ounce. So, it's extremely cheap to operate in the region. There's also been significant M&A activity. You can see lots of major players in the region. That Kinross Bald Mountain mine was acquired for $610 million in 2015. So a very active region with lots of activity. And if you look 150 kilometer radius from Maverick Springs, there's about 18 operating mines, either operating or in care and maintenance, and they're actually major mines. That doesn't account for all smaller mines that are operating in the region. So it's a really active region. I want to talk about our globally significant asset now. Maverick Springs is, I like to term it a beast, and it's only going to get bigger. It's 292 million ounces of silver equivalent at 72.4 grams per ton. So that's 72.4 compared to 12 at Rochester. That was calculated under the NI 43-101 instrument by the company we acquired it for under a pit-constrained model. The metrics applied to calculate that resource were $21.50 an ounce silver and $18.50 an ounce gold. We see it in different times right now. And there was multiple intercepts, over 100 grams a ton, that sat outside of that pit-constrained shell. Look, we're in a gold town, so I have to talk a little bit about gold. From a gold equivalent perspective, our resource is 4.5 million ounces at about 1 gram a ton. So if I go back to Kinross, they're operating for $900, all-in sustaining cost an ounce at 0.4 gram a ton. If you look up there, ours is about 0.34 grams a ton. So a really viable asset. This is the resource as it currently stands, big open pit. What you can see, the blue and the yellow is the total mineralization, but the yellow depicts the 292 million ounces of silver equivalent. So there's significant mineralization that currently sits outside of the resource, approximately 40% of the total mineralization. And resource growth is imminent. We're utilizing current day metrics for silver and gold at a desktop level. We're rerunning the numbers, and this thing is going to grow, and it's going to grow fast. You can see it's large, 2.4 kilometers to strike, 1.2 kilometers wide, and we're drilling high-grade zones outside of that resource currently, which I'd like to now talk about. It's significant history attached to the project, 200 holes for about 60,000 meters. All the core and RC chips is available. It's in Elko. We've carried out a comprehensive mapping campaign. We've been through all the historical material. We've verified it with XRF. And what we have done through that process is we've identified a high-grade zone in the northwest of the property, depicted by that red, which sits right on the boundary. And last Thursday, I'll talk about it in a second, we announced an intercept outside of that boundary, an extensional hole about 100 meters from the current resource. Only 20% of the property has been explored. It's open along strike and at depth. And some of these intercepts are fantastic for the region. 303 grams a ton over 54.86 meters, 278 over 54.86, 142 over 53, and 113 over 110 meters. So big, thick intercepts. I'll go back to it. We only listed 11 weeks ago. You know, we haven't taken our foot off the gas. We've been really busy and we're going to keep pushing on. We kicked off a 7,500 meter drilling program targeting extensional targets and infill, which I'll talk about in a second. But in our very first extensional hole, which I just referenced, outside of the resource, about 110 meters from historical drilling, we intersected grades of 296 grams a tonne, verified by XRF, sent to the assay, or sent to the lab for assay, looking forward to receiving those results. As I said, that sits outside of the resource. The team proved up a theory that the mineralisation got thicker, got higher grade, and closer to surface to the northwest, and in our first hole we hit that mineralisation. We've completed geophysics, geochem, and field mapping, and we're now about to utilise all that data, and that's what we're going to do next. So, as I said, we've taken all that data, we've built a model, we've built a plan, and we're now about to go drill. Drilling will continue to test the extensional holes in the northwest, so all these green colours are planned holes. This is the hole we just drilled where we had our intercept. You can see we're stepping out, and it's open to the north and to the northwest. We'll also carry out some infill drilling, and this will target classification upgrade. So historically, 30% of this resource sat in the indicated category. Because it was drilled pre-2012 under the NI 43-101 instrument, when we converted it across, we brought it across as fully inferred. So we have a specific plan to go and twin some historical holes, verify the geology and increase our geological confidence, and we can lift it for a low cost of capital, similar to what Tim said. We're going to reinstate that indicated resource as quickly as we can. And those extensional intercept that we hit last week, that's proven our theory that there's high-grade mineralization in the northwest, that it's getting thicker, and that it's trending closer to surface. So, in summary on the asset, we have the largest primary silver asset on the ASX. We have growth potential both at a desktop level and with the drill bit, and we're actively adding ounces through drilling. Tim touched on it a little bit earlier, but I'd like to expand a little bit more on the silver market for those of you who are not across it. But over the last 3 years, we've been in a structural deficit, 20% year on year, with 184 million ounce deficit in 2023. And that's forecast to grow, to keep going. The Bank of America has said that by 2027, that could reach 125%. Now, you'd think in a deficit that existing mines would just ramp up production and meet the demand, but silver is unique in the sense that it's an inelastic metal. Those companies have not been able to increase production primarily because it's a byproduct of zinc or lead, and that pricing has not supported that ramp up. So we sit in a unique place with a primary silver gold asset. And it's not very strange or not surprising to us why major banks around the world, like Bank of America and Toronto Dominion Bank, are forecasting, I'll use Tim's number, I like it a lot more, $100 an ounce. So a great place to be in, a silver company. But what's driving it? Tim talked about solar. I want to delve into that a lot more. Silver is an essential material of every solar panel. We probably all have them on our roof, but 23% of the material cost of a solar panel is silver. And silver demand has increased 380% since 2014 to 232 million ounces. If you maintained that trajectory, we would consume 98% of global silver reserves, both above and below ground, by 2050. We'd be wiped out. We'd be clean out. So silver mines are needed. And if we look at the US in particular, where we're located, they've targeted 30% of their electrical grid to come from solar by 2030, 45% by 2050. Last year it was only 3%. So they need 125 gigawatts year on year of additional capacity to reach that target by 2030. So it's a no-brainer that silver is the most critical metal, posing price and supply risks in the build-out of that global solar piece. Now, a bit more of an education for people who don't know how silver is actually used within a solar panel. It's used as a silver paste. It sits on the back of the PV cell, but over 90% of solar panels are manufactured in China. The graph up there, you can see this dark blue. That's the Chinese dominance of the componentry supply chain. So they've got it wrapped up. But only in recent weeks, in June this year, the Biden administration increased a tariff that the Trump administration had put in place from 25% to 50% on all PV componentry imports from China. So there's active push in the United States for home supply. They've also banned imports from Xinjiang. It's a province within China which produces 50% of PV cells, and that's due to ESG concerns. So we see a huge growth market in the US for silver paste and silver paste manufacturing. And what are we doing about it? Well, a few weeks ago, we submitted a grant application in conjunction with Holland & Knight, who were successful obtaining grant funding for the likes of Novonix and Syra previously. And that's to look at manufacturing silver paste within the United States ourselves. And this morning, we announced the kicking off of a technological study to further investigate the technology side of silver paste manufacturing in conjunction with wood. So we're actively working on that as a secondary piece while we develop Maverick Springs. So I've talked about silver and the demand. It's evident a vast amount of silver is required. But if you look at Tier 1 jurisdictions or areas of low jurisdictional risk around the world and assets that have over 100 million ounces of pure silver, there is only 10 in North America and Australia. And nestled right in the center of those, amongst some major players like Hecla, Coeur, and South 32 is Sun Silver. So again, a unique investment proposition. So what's ahead for us? Started 11 weeks ago. And we're working as hard as we can to add value for our shareholders. Resource growth is imminent. So we're drilling and we're adding ounces at the drill bit, but we're also doing that by optimization of the current resource. As I said, we've stepped outside the current resource, the drill bit is in the ground, and we're testing our theory, we've proven our theory, so we're going to add to our theory that we have extensional ounces that are high grade, thicker and closer to surface. The classification upgrade, which I discussed earlier, simple, straightforward process, twin holes, increase geological confidence, lift that 30%, and then lift the rest of the resource. We're going to build on positive historical met test work that was completed by the likes of SSR by rolling out our own met test work campaign later in the year. And we're also going to continue on with the silver paste investigation, which I just touched on earlier. So a large quantity of work ahead, a lot of news flow, a lot of catalysts. And I'm really excited to be leading this company forward and into the future. So thank you for your time today. Enjoy your lunch. Any questions, please feel free to come over. I'm more than happy to field them. Thank you very much.